What's up, YouTube? I know it's been a minute, but this is Carrie from Side Tripping with Carrie, and today we are profiling Ladimir Ladmo Kwiatkowski of the Wallace Ladmo show. And if you were a kid in Arizona, Phoenix specifically, that grew up anytime between the mid-50s and the late 80s, 1989 to be precise, you knew and you loved Ladmo. All right, we are in a little bit north of downtown Phoenix, right off of First Avenue and McKinley Street. And the first stop on our tour today is going to be the original studio of KPHO TV, Channel 5. And believe it or not, KPHO TV is still going strong. It's now a CBS affiliate, but back in the day, it was an independent station, and it was an independent station when it broadcast the Wallace Ladmo show. And Wallace Ladmo ran from 1954 to 1989, 35 years, locally produced. One of the longest locally produced kids shows in American broadcast history. And it was filmed, or you know, the tapings would take place right here at this building that I'm going to show you here when I get up closer to it, right here on South First Avenue. And Wallace Ladmo show was started by a guy named Bill Thompson, better known as Wallace, and it basically featured Bill as Wallace, Ladimir as Ladmo, Pat McMahon as primarily Gerald. And Pat McMahon is still with us, and Pat did a whole bunch of characters. So here's the building, and the guy with the polka dotted band on his hat, that's Bill Thompson, Wallace. And the page boy haircut guy with the goofy glasses, that was Pat McMahon. And obscured by this tree is my man Ladmo. Hopefully you can see it a little bit better. Not much. But before this tree was here, it was a really neat rendition, because you could see it right on the edge of the building, and there's the entryway right there. And another guy I wanted to show you, kind of off to the side with the top hat, that's Mike Condello, who was like the musical director of the show. And I showed you guys the beginning clip that they used to show back in the 70s. And you know, Mike did all of the music. He was a very talented musician, and they would do like these little skits where they would kind of do covers, like, you know, but they would throw in, you know, instead of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, they had Ladmo in the Sky with like donuts or something like that. And they'd have these goofy songs by Commodore Condello and the Salt River Navy Band. And it was, you know, kind of like I said, like a takeoff on the Beatles, and it would kind of be a spoof. But it was a great show. Growing up as a kid, man, every kid I knew loved Wallace Ladmo. I wanted to show you too, this building here with the antenna on top is the Westward Ho. And the Westward Ho, if you have ever seen the movie Psycho, they show the Westward Ho. You kind of pan to it. And in the remake of Psycho, which wasn't as good, the hotel room where the two characters, I forget I know it was Janet Leigh, I believe, in the original Psycho, and I think it was Anne Heche played her in the remake. But in the remake, the hotel room where she was having the affair with the married guy was in the Westward Ho. So the Westward Ho actually used to be a hotel. It had a ballroom there at the top, and a lot of famous people stayed there. John F. Kennedy stayed there one time. But since that time, for the longest time, after it closed down as a hotel, it was kind of a senior citizens home. And then here lately, Arizona State University bought it, and it's owned by ASU now. So KPHO studios were here, and that antenna originally broadcast the signal for the station. So a little bit about my man Ladmo. So Ladmo was born in 1928 in Cleveland, Ohio. His dad actually was a police detective in Ohio, in Cleveland. And Ladimir came out here for college, played baseball at ASU, and was actually a pretty good player. He got a job at KPHO as a cameraman, and when Wallace started up his kind of cartoon show with skits and bumpers, Wallace asked Ladmo to tag along with them, and that's kind of how he got involved with the show, and at least initially. And he quickly became like the kids' favorite, because Wallace was funny too, but he was kind of more of a straight man. And you know, he kind of let Ladmo, who was athletic and tall and kind of goofy, he would let him kind of be the star of the show. And again, he was just really a beloved figure. If you were a kid from the mid 50s to 1989, man, and you grew up with that guy, you absolutely adored him. I mean, he was just a funny guy. And probably the reason that he was so endearing to us kids was he was the most kid-like of the people on the show. Gerald was like the villain, spoiled brat. I remember Gerald had a monster that would like attack or grab Ladmo and throw him in a closet. It was goofy. And you know, they just have like these skits and routines that they would do, and they were iconic. So if you ever meet someone who claims they're from Phoenix, and I'd say if they're anywhere from, you know, 40 to 60, 70 years old, you can find out real quick whether they're a real Phoenician by asking them about Wallace and Ladmo. So next, we're going to head over to St. Francis Catholic Cemetery, where Ladmo is laid to rest. And I'm going to tell you guys up front, it may take us a little time, because the cemetery itself, or the part where Ladmo is laid to rest, is kind of near a very active part of the cemetery. And you know, I don't want to disturb anyone that's there to visit their relatives and loved ones. So we'll do our best to get over there, and I'll give you a view of his final resting place, and we'll pay our respects. All right, we're here at St. Francis Catholic Cemetery in Phoenix, and we're in luck because there's no one over here in this kind of busy area of the cemetery I was telling you about, where Ladimir Kwiatkowski and his wife are laid to rest. Ladimir and his wife are interred here at the St. Teresa Shrine, Garden of the Little Flower. So Ladmo unfortunately passed away in 1994, and I remember it well. I mean, it was, you know, kind of one of those deals where, you know, it affected me almost like the death of a loved one. I remember the only other person kind of that was famous that from my childhood that I felt similar about was when Fred Rogers from, you know, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood passed away. Ladmo is laid to rest here. With his wife, Patsy, passed away in 2011. Ladmo passed away in 1994, and I remember it well because I was in my second year of law school at ASU, and we used to have this board. It was called the First Amendment board, and a lot of times, you know, people would like write things, they'd bitch about classes and things like that. But then we had a bunch of these Federalist Society ideologues that would pontificate about stuff and try to act like they were smarter than everyone else. And one day this guy who was a first year, I remember his name was Jerry. Jerry was from LA, so he had no idea what the Wallace and Ladmo show or really Phoenix or anything was about. And Jerry, someone had posted about Ladmo dying, and Jerry wrote on the board, "What's a Ladmo?" And one of the guys just ripped him to shreds. And I remember going to Jerry and explaining to him who Ladmo was and why it was so emotional for a lot of us, and it really was. I mean, again, he was kind of an icon of my childhood, and really of any kid that grew up in that time period's childhood. And you know, we miss him. I'm gonna go on and end the video, folks. Thank you for watching. If you like the channel, please subscribe and leave comments. Let me know what you think. If you grew up in Phoenix and remember the Wallace and Ladmo show, what were some of the funniest moments you remember? So we'll see you on the next one. I'm going to try to get another video out here very soon. So take care.